AEW Rampage and WWE SmackDown went head-to-head for about 30 minutes on TV because SmackDown was being preempted by the World Series, so they went from Fox to FS1, so they decided to add an extra half hour to appease the audience in a way. That coincided with the first half hour of AEW, so Tony Khan said, all right, checkmate, motherfucker, and gave us an hour-long pre-show that bled into AEW Rampage that included, it was on YouTube for free, that included a main event of Minoru Suzuki versus Bryan Danielson on free TV. What a show that was. 100,000 people watched that at first viewing on YouTube. And then we just got the ratings in for this week. And it was interesting. During the head-to-head, 30 minutes televised, Rampage received higher viewership in the crucial 18-49 demo than SmackDown. According to PW Torch, Rampage earned 328,000 compared to SmackDown's 285,000. And in terms of overall rating, SmackDown still claimed a higher overall figure with 878,000 compared to AEW's 602,000. Obviously, SmackDown suffered because of the fact that they moved over to FS1, and we understand that. We understand that. Don't worry, Marks. We understand that. According to Showbuzz Daily, the two wrestling shows were tied in overall 18-49 demo score. SmackDown's overall 18 demo 49 score was 0.24, as was AEW's. And the category is kind of slightly skewed. That's like a weird metric they use. But overall viewership, AEW still beat SmackDown in 18-49 overall as far as numbers. But Trevor, there was a lot to unpack there. It seems like, look, again, AEW, they're not stepping on anyone's turf. It seems like every time the talk about war starts to happen, it starts with WWE stepping on AEW's turf. Happened with NXT. It happened here today. What do you make of it?
I mean, on one hand, you're like, oh, great competition. You know, this is fun. This happened once before. And like you mentioned earlier, normally when Vince has competition, he rises to the top. So far, he has not done that. So it could be a tactic that they're doing, like where, you know, they're stepping on his toes to try to, you know, take away airtime because they know that they're a viable threat. Or it could be just a, you know, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that serious. It could be just you know, like a friendly jab. But, you know, it does seem like every time war is, or you know, controversies that comes up about war or them competing against each other, it normally comes from the WWE side. And I find that extremely interesting and kind of laughable, especially when they're really not doing much to compete. I mean, they're not even doing half of what AEW is doing. So I don't understand why you keep bringing it up.
Yeah, it's strange. So here's the thing. From a business standpoint, I get it. You want to drum up more interest in your product, right? And WWE, I get it. You're on FS1. You're preempted by the World Series. You're pissed off about it. You're trying to gain viewers. So give them an extra half hour. What I didn't get is, why didn't WWE just do an extra hour starting at 7 and have
Right.
3-hour SmackDown spectacular, put Biggie on there, just make it a super show. You do it every week anyway. So, I mean, I just didn't get why they didn't do that, but they decided to go head to head. And I think AEW's response, people want to say, oh, AEW, oh, look, they're a bunch of marks for themselves. I'm like, dude, you got to, when someone steps on your turf, you got to compete, which is, again, something that Vince McMahon is obviously not doing since AEW's beating him in New York right now. So Tony Khan, AEW said, all right, cool. You want to step on our 30 minutes? We're going to give an extra hour on free YouTube, not even TV, YouTube. And on top of that, we're also going to put together a card headlined by American top team and Jorge Masvidal kneeing Chris Jericho in the face. So,
Right.
again, they lost in overall viewership. Yeah, to be expected. But the fact that they are gaining more and more traction in that overall 18 to 49 demo, I don't care if SmackDown's preempted by the World Series. I really don't care. Both shows should be doing worse because of that. And SmackDown's on FS1. I grant you, FS1, not a great network. And if the viewership went down from like 2.5 million to what it averages out to like even down to 1 million, okay, understandable. It went down to 878,000 viewers. That's more of a drop than you would expect. So I think they kind of pigeonhole themselves. And again, AEW won that head-to-head matchup in that 30-minute time period where they were head-to-head. So you want to call it a technicality? Call it a technicality. But when SmackDown and Rampage went head-to-head this week, SmackDown, which is an institution for over 20 years, went head-to-head this week, guess what happened, Trevor? AEW beat them in the most important thing, in the only thing that advertisers and companies care about. They were beaten. So that matters, all right? And again, people are going to get on the Twitter machine and be like, oh, you little mark for AEW. Well, you little mark for WWE. Forget about it.
You're not really helping them, though.
No, I'm not helping them. Also, but they can help me by hitting that like button, subscribing, hitting that notification bell so you get notified whenever new video is released. But but in all seriousness, even if you don't like AEW, you have to admit that it's a problem that every time WWE seems to challenge them, AEW seems to get the victory.
They do. They definitely do. And it's one of those things that, like, at this point, you're like, why you keep beating a dead horse? Like, like obviously, it's still new kid on the block. It still has that new promotion smell. That it's interesting. It's interesting. It's doing things that no promotion has done in years. Like the closest thing to that was was said on the chat, like WWF back in the 80s with the NWA, and they would bring people over, and that was the closest thing to what AEW is doing. And since no one, especially this generation, has ever seen anything like that, it's interesting. It makes more sense, and it's entertaining. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what matters. And unfortunately, does WWE still entertain? Yes, they do. There are some entertaining matches. There are some segments that I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting. But when you watch a show, Raw, 3 hours long, and the best part of the show is like 5 minutes long, and that's it, it's a problem.
Oh, and those Randy Orton promos, Trevor. 20 minutes of Randy Orton speaking. I know no one asked for this. No one. Jesus. Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.